Now, yesterday, the eternal sin of Kenya's politics returned. Political violence and disruption of a political rally. There are many versions of what could have triggered the incident in Githurai or who was truly behind it. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's not the real issue. What is not in dispute is the fact that ODM leader Raila Odinga was holding a meeting and a group of people, mainly young men, stormed the gathering and sought to disrupt it. What is also not disputed is that the young men were chanting slogans in support of the DP, William Ruto. The meeting went on, but the youth re-emerged later and pelted Raila's convoy with stones as it left Githurai. It is also in the public domain that shortly after the incident, some known supporters of the DP, including a member of his communications team, Dennis Itumbi, identified the youth as part of the so-called Hustler Nation, generally associated with the deputy president. Now, today, a similar thing happened when the DP went to the popular Burma meat joint here in Nairobi, where some youth, this time chanting pro-BBI slogans, also attempted to disrupt the visit, hurling stones and forcing the meeting to be cut short. And a few moments later, the ODM communications director, Philip Itale, no less, posted one of the videos and appeared to celebrate what the young men had done. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this trend is not only shameful and downright primitive, it is also extremely dangerous. No one needs to be reminded that violence only begets violence. And once the cycle begins, there is no stopping. What is to stop Raila's supporters from disrupting Ruto's meeting wherever he goes? What is to stop Ruto's supporters from revenging and vice versa? When does that spiral stop? I'm appalled to see politicians and their supporters falling over themselves to explain away what happened, engaging in a shameless blame game of who hired what goons, and some even justifying what happened. Didn't you hear some even suggest that somehow the ODM leader should have sought their permission before holding a meeting in Githurai? Really? Ladies and gentlemen, when we get to a point where politicians have to give other politicians permission to visit their so-called backyards, we have lost it. You see, as a journalist who covered the 2007 general election that went so awfully wrong, any sign of political intolerance and violence makes me shudder. In that year, way before the election, political intolerance had become commonplace, and the country was balkanized into ODM and PNU zones, with violent youth always on the ready to repulse the unwanted party. In one incident, William Ruto, who was then a member of ODM's top organ, the Pentagon, and then legislator Omingo Magara, were attacked by rowdy youth as they descended from a helicopter to attend a funds drive in South Mugirango. Ruto had to flee without one of his shoes and was in fact hospitalized following that incident in Kisii. In documented testimonies of the post-election violence months later, it is reported that some of the attackers referred to that Kisii incident, among others, as they raided the homes of perceived PNU sympathizers. At least 1,300 people died in that violence, and many Kenyans still bear those scars. But how fast we forget things in this country. Tonight I weep for the young men who are lured to take part in this violence. They are neither the sons of the politicians they fight for, nor are they even their distant relatives. They are invariably other people's sons. And when they get injured by the other group or get shot by the police, they are on their own. They suffer and many times die alone. And shortly after, the same politicians may shake hands, share positions, and laugh. Let me ask some questions as I finish. Supposing the deputy president had called a press conference yesterday and condemned those who violently attacked his opponent's rally in Githurai. Supposing he publicly disowned these goons who just as publicly used his name to disrupt a meeting. Supposing he told them in no uncertain terms that they did not represent his views or what he stands for. What if the ODM leadership did a similar thing today? I think it is now time for all the political leaders to urgently meet, regardless of their political differences, and publicly and in unison not only condemn political violence, but commit to peaceful campaigns both now and next year. Short of that, ladies and gentlemen, let none of them tell us they abhor violence. we won't believe it. And that is my angle tonight.